You know me. All of you know me. You know who I am. Monkey in the back. Cut my cool, spooky music. Cut it, monkey. I told you to do it now. Get rid of it. Thank you. Mr. X here. It's Mr. Expose You on YouTube. That's right. What is this show about? Why am I here? Well, I have been a part of something that's called Jim Terry TV. I call it the Jim Terry TV community. For about 3.5 years, I co-host with Jim. Jim was on YouTube for about 10 months, got over to Rumble. Then I helped Jim create JimTerryTV.com, which is like kind of a streaming platform. And I'm going to show it here in a second, like Netflix, smaller, lower budget, but it's on Roku. And we also have a subsequent one, a second one that's called Night Owl Network that's on Amazon Fire Stick. But we still pop up on YouTube and friends of YouTube shows and all that stuff to promote. It's a great way to promote this stuff. Now, I am not a band creator. Mr. X is not banned. Not anymore, at least, per YouTube. I'm allowed to be here. I'm allowed to host my own show. This is not a monetized show. I'm not expecting to make money here. This is a public service announcement. This is to explain that I have done something that nobody in the Jim Terry TV community, directly or indirectly, has ever done. Now, I'm going to use a lot of pronouns here. I, we, and all this kind of stuff. Really, when I'm talking about the person who did this, I'm talking about Mark Terry, who's Jim Terry's brother. I work alongside with Mark Terry. I know him very well. And obviously, Jim knows him. So I'm going to say I and we a lot, but that is not for any implicating anything, just to kind of make that clear. And I don't care if there's 30 people, 300 people, 3,000 people. I want you to listen to this show very clearly. And this isn't to out anybody. It's to be able to advertise it. And for people who aren't part of the Jim Terry TV community or don't know who we are, to understand how you can protect yourself from non-monetized YouTube scumbags that might want to steal your content. I have done something, we have done something that nobody else has done. And the reason I'm making fun of the pronouns is because the haters don't say, well, is it one person? Is it two person? Is it this? Is it that? They're trying to make something out of a molehill, nothing out of a molehill is how it goes. And all this is it's because these handful of haters lost. Here's what it is. Let's talk about it right now. I have done something, we have done something that nobody has ever done. I put a copyright claims board suit on a YouTuber. Never give up. Don't let these scumbags steal your content. Now, let's talk about what a copyright claim. Let me mansplain this for people who don't know. Now, this isn't going to be like a normal Jim Terry TV show where there's prank calls and funniness and shenanigans. This is more of a how-to video. And I want to say hello to some people in the chat. They know who they are. Here's what happens a lot when you have a hot show. You have content that could be entertaining. It could be controversial. It could be a lot of things. What happens is people with less talent or nothing to talk about will steal your content and then there's two kind of lazy YouTube shows. There is the open panel where anybody can come up and talk on somebody else's show. You're not going to notice that unless Jim pops up here, there ain't going to be anybody else here up but me. I got the phone number up there. I could take calls, probably won't. So that you have that show. And I don't fault the open panel that much because a lot of people like to do it. And it's a good way to keep in touch with people. That's cool. That's fine. Kind of a lazy way to do a show. The other show is, I call the Watcher of Crazy lazy style show, where they take a show, like a show I'm doing right now, and they will play my show and stop it and comment about it. Play my show, stop it, and comment about it. And then hide under the guise of fair use. Okay. So if people don't know what fair use is a defense to allow commentary. And as an example, like in documentaries, if you play a clip of a news clip to explain something, to commentate, and to tell a bigger story in context, that would be fair use. But you have a lot of people, a lot of really uneducated people that just steal minutes or hours of content, copyright infringement, and claim it's fair use. It is not. Here's the issue with this. YouTube wants to defend themselves, and I can respect the fact that they do. So here's how it works. You make the content, or I make the content. We can put any pronoun in there we want. And then what happens is somebody steals that content. Now, that content doesn't necessarily need to be on YouTube. It could be on a streaming network like Jim Terry TV. It could be somewhere else. It could be on Rumble. It could be on Kick. They steal that content. So what you do then, after somebody steals your content, especially like Jim Terry TV's $29.99 a month, if I were to steal the NFL's content and put it over here, there's obviously a big problem there. You can't do it. Or a movie like Star Wars. Now, I'm not trying to compare the two, but it is along the same playing field of copyright infringement. Now, I'm not an attorney, but I've spent a lot of time on this, and I feel like I am in this specific subject. However, with people stealing your content, you will then go into the report button, the copyright, the legal button, and then the copyright button, and fill out all the information and say this 5 or 10 or 15-minute clip or this entire show is copyright infringement. And YouTube will take the show down. I've even had people where we were doing live shows replay our show live. I'm sure a lot of you have had that happen to you too. They're replaying your show live if something is real wild is going on because they have no content. They're lazy. You could strike them down live. We've done that before. So we did it to Watch You're Crazy, actually. We've done it to a lot of people. So what happens is, after a while, the person will come back and say to YouTube when they get the copyright notice, and their stuff's going to come down no matter what for 10 days. Okay? So when it comes down, they will respond that this is fair use. And we've talked to attorneys on different shows, copyright attorneys, other attorneys that say fair use is a defense. Fair use is, if you're in a court case, a way to get out of something, to defend yourself. This is fair use. This is my First Amendment right, yada, yada, yada. Okay, fair enough. YouTube does not want to get into any legal issues, so they just say, oh, it's fair use, it's over with. And within 10 days, if you don't do anything, they allow the content to come back up. This has happened to us a lot. Then the YouTube thief, or hater in our case, will say, I won, the content's back, look at me. But there are two things that you can do that YouTube requests. That you do, that you can go, so copyright infringement happens. Let's go over it again. You file the copyright infringement on the hater thief. They say fair use. It's about to pop up. You got 10 days. YouTube says you have 10 days to file a federal lawsuit, which is expensive. I'm in California. If some dickhead is in Ohio or Texas, you got to go to some middle of nowhere place to file it on one person that probably has no money anyways. More times than not, you're going to see these people who have non-monetized channels. They live with their mom. They smoke dope all day. They're complete fucking losers. They got a bunch of arrests. Their kids are in prison. You're going to see this all the time. I've seen it a lot over 3.5 years, a little bit over 3 years. So the only two things is the federal lawsuit, which obviously you're not going to travel around the country and go knock down doors and sue people who don't have any money anyway. Or the other one is a copyright claims board suit. And like I said, I am the only person that I know of, directly or indirectly, from any that has ever I put a copyright claims board suit on a YouTuber, and I won. And I'm going to explain all this to you and what this means. Again, this isn't for malicious intent. This isn't to damage anybody. And we're going to say some names here of people because we want this. We're not going to make it unclear. We're going to say some names, and then we're going to go and tell you where you can see all the information where people on YouTube can't affect it. Because people on YouTube, they'll strike anything. So we'll say some names, but we'll go to a place that's off YouTube that they can't control it. We'll get to that in a minute. So let's just say we went through the process and they are saying it's fair use. And you say, you know what? I can't do a federal lawsuit, or I can, but it's kind of expensive. But I could do go to what's called the Copyright Claims Board, copyright ccb.gov. And this is ccb.gov/FAQ, frequently asked questions. What is the Copyright Claims Board? The Copyright Claims Board, or I'm going to say CCB a lot, is an alternative forum to federal court to resolve copyright disputes up to $30,000. It's like a small claims court, but for copyright infringement. That's me speaking. My thoughts of it. It is voluntary. We'll get to that in a minute. But it also provides advantages over federal court for those who want to resolve certain copyright disputes before a panel of copyright experts, which are this panel, this 3-person tribunal. The court case is usually copyright attorneys, as opposed to a jury or a federal judge. It is intended to be streamlined, less expensive, and a less expensive alternative. Yeah, this is where they're located, who will hear you, yada, yada, yada. So ccb.gov. Well, we had a lady out there, and we have a handful of haters. Let me just say first what show that we come from and what we own, because I mentioned it before, but I'd rather show you than tell you. And that is Jim Terry TV. This is on Roku. There's my show that's on twice a week, Mr. X News Network. And we have other shows like Crab Legs Friday. This is free here on Fridays while it's live, the flagship show, Jim Terry TV. We have hardcore pranks, children's books, stuff, movies, best of, thousands of hours of content. So the live shows that you will see over on this channel are Mr. X News Network, Jim Terry TV, and Crab Legs Friday. The other stuff's all on demand. So people, when we had our Crab Legs Friday shows, would steal our content. Or sometimes they would take the content and share it from other people and put it up there illegally, harass our people in our private chat. It costs $29.99 a month to be a part of this. Now, let me tell you this. I mean, so these are people who are long-term fans and, people who like what we do. This specific show, and let me see if I can find it real quick. It's a Halloween show, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see where it's at. It's down here somewhere. It's Christmas. No, that's too far. Where is it at? Season 4, season 3. It's this one right here. Halloween is almost here. This specific show right here. So Jim and I used to go on a show that was hosted by Angel Gotti. Angel Gotti is the daughter of the crime boss, Teflon Don, John Gotti. So she has kind of a known YouTube, if you believe the subscribers that somebody's paying for her. But we would go over there and meet people, and it was fun while it lasted. There was a very nice lady over there, a lady named Edna, who passed away. And we're going to get back to this. Halloween is almost here. Season 3, episode 43. So what would happen is we were going over there and saying hi to everybody, joking around with people, trying to have a good time. And what happens is Edna passes away. Well, before Edna passes away, there was a time that we didn't necessarily get along with her. And Jim had some comments that were behind the paywall on Jim Terry TV. There is a lady out there named Leanne Hicks. She's a YouTuber. She's a hater. She's a degenerate. She's a lech. She's a lowlife. This is what her YouTube channel looks like. You can notice that there's nothing left on her YouTube channel. She used to have live streams, videos, shorts, tons of community tabs. And you can notice that she doesn't have anything left. The reason she doesn't have anything left, it's because I made it that way. I did that to her. We did that to her. And she also used to have a channel that I think is either now gone or hidden called Leanne-555, which was a ban evading channel. That is now gone too. Or she at least hid it. So with that being said, Leanne goes on to the internet, takes our content, and plays a video of 3 to 4 minutes of our content. Not good. She had done copyright infringement before on us. She then does a live show later tonight, which, by the way, all this content has been removed, and plays that 3 or 4 minutes on her show again. Now, there was another guy that we're friendly with. He just had his teeth pulled today. I want to say what's up to him, Johnny Yarborough. Hope he's doing okay. We went on Johnny Yarborough's show, and she was up there, and I said, Leanne, stop stealing our content. Stop stealing our content. Stop stealing our content over and over and over again, or there's going to be something. There's going to be repercussions. There's going to be a surprise that's coming. And that surprise was the Copyright Claims Board. Lawsuit, suit, claim, whatever you want to, whatever adjective you want to use. Because it's technically not a lawsuit. It's like a claim, like a small claims court claim, okay, if you want to get technical about it. So, we've had a lot of problems with these different haters. And they're stealing our content. You're not going to tell me what to do. So what we did is we took that show, and I showed it earlier, the Jim Terry TV, Season 3, Episode 43, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Season 3, Episode 43. And this is the beginning of how you do the Copyright Claims Board suit. We took that show, and we copyrighted it under the Library of Congress. Now, I was talking about it earlier today. It's like $85 to copyright different pieces of intellectual property, either it be a movie, a script, an individual show. I mean, you have your inherent copyright when you complete it, but to put it into the Library of Congress, it costs money. It costs like $65 or something like that. So, or maybe 85, I'm sorry. So it's not cheap. And just to kind of put this into perspective, we had a 10-month era on YouTube with Jim Terry TV and Mr. X TV, which had a ton of shows, okay? And that's on the Best Of channel on JimTerryTV.com. Since then, on JimTerryTV.com, there has been about 170 episodes of Jim Terry TV. There's been 115 episodes. Granted, all of them haven't been on JimTerryTV.com. 115 episodes of Crab Legs Friday. There's over 100 Rumble shows. There's a Jim Terry TV on Rumble. We're getting close to 300 episodes on Mr. X News Network. And our other one, our newer one, Night Owl Network, has around 15. So we're talking about 3, 4, 5, 6, 700. If you count the other episodes on Jim Terry TV and XTV on YouTube, maybe 900 episodes, 800 or 900 episodes. And we had haters say things like, oh, they can't afford to copyright every episode. Well, let's just do the math real quick. I mean, I happen to have a calculator real handy. Let's just say it's 800 episodes. 800 episodes times $85 plus the time to individually copyright every single one. We're talking about $68,000, Lacey H. $68,000? Who has the money to spend on that? I mean, do I have the money to spend on it? Sure. But would I spend it on every single one? Absolutely not. It'd be foolish. It'd be foolish. So the Copyright Claims Board, you copyright the show first. Cost about $85. Well, we had some issues before, but let's back up before we get to the Copyright Claims Board. There's another lady out there, a 250-pound woman, a 5'2" nobody, kids in prison, just a complete lowlife who lives in the middle of nowhere, Texas, named Watch Your Crazy. She harassed me. She said she was going to show up in Las Vegas. She did not. At one point, she has actually shot a person in real life. Shot a person. Not shot-en, but shot a person in real life. Has been arrested for drugs. Maybe got out of the charges, maybe not. I don't know. But her son's in prison. She lives with her mom. She's 50 years old. She's a lowlife. And when she said she was going to show up to Las Vegas, I had a brilliant idea. And this idea was to serve her at her house a cease and desist from my attorney. The cease and desist, serving her at her house, would, number one, have it that she was doing copyright infringement too. She would always say, this Watch Her Crazy would say to Leanne, hey, listen, here's how you do it. I'll send you over the information about fair use. So Watch Her Crazy would be monetized, but Leanne's was not. So for Watch Her Crazy to protect her monetization, she would allow people to go on Leanne's show and just copyright infringe. She don't give a shit if she gets struck. They don't know each other. One lives in Ohio, one lives in Texas. They don't give a fuck. They fought with each other at one point. So here we are in Las Vegas, and Watch Her Crazy says she's going to show up and she's going to do all this stuff. And this is further documented, like the deep documentation of this is on Crab Legs Friday 115. I'm thinking about making Crab Legs Friday 115 public. And I'm thinking about putting that in. If you end up in the future seeing that in the chat or in the description of the show, that's because I made it public. And I will put the Copyright Claims Board information in the, if you have to do this yourself, in the description of the show in case you need to do this. So we served, and this is before all the stuff that happened with Leanne, we served Watcher of Crazy at her house, thus proving you could see it, yada, yada, yada. Okay? That's it. So with that being said, Watcher of Crazy gets served. We got her. She's a no-show. Well, Leanne does her show. And when Leanne does her show, she says, go ahead, it's in the back, bring it up. Watcher Crazy says that to Leanne. It's in the back, thus meaning Watcher Crazy had access to our content. Right? And I might have to clip some of that out there, that cease and desist. I'll do that later. But we could tell that Leanne was getting this content from Watcher Crazy. That's what was happening. So Watcher Crazy has already been sent to cease and desist for copyright infringement. She's already been told to stop doing this. Now she's doing it by proxy through Leanne. So we told Leanne to stop. She did not stop. What did we do? We went through the process. We copyrighted the show that she stole. The section of the show, Jim, who's the host of Jim Terry TV, is talking about Edna. And if you just play a couple minutes of the show with no commentary, you can't really decipher that or understand that Jim made up with Edna, that Jim and myself put in for Edna's headstone after she passed away. That Watcher Crazy and Leanne did nothing for Edna. They wanted to take a clip of a show that happened months before and play it out of context. That damages our OTT. It's copyright infringement. And we know they're just going to say it's fair use. But they did it twice. Leanne did it twice. Once as a video and once as a live stream. And then she did it a third time of something that I believe is in that same show. She says it's not. Good luck with that. And we got her a third time. That's when Leanne created Leanne-555. It might have already existed, but that's when she went over to that place and started that new place and started doing lives from there. That is now gone. So about, I think it was sometime in November. You remember the big governmental shutdown? Remember all that stuff was going down? Well, to be able to start a Copyright Claims Board lawsuit, and this here isn't about trashing Leanne or talking about Watcher Crazy. It's to explain to you how to do this. If you want to do this and you continuously have somebody doing this to you over and over and over again, this is how you do it. So with that being said, we filed a Copyright Claims Board lawsuit. Mark Terry did. We did. Against Leanne Hicks. She refused. So we knew that it would be copyright infringement on YouTube. She would say fair use. We already had it copywritten via the Library of Congress, and this was already set up. So to be able to have a Copyright Claims Board docket or suit or case, you have to already have the film or production or whatever it is copywritten. We did. We did. And you could see that Mark Terry puts the claim out on November 13th, 2025. This is just as the governmental shutdown is ending. We didn't even mention it till months later. Like a month later. I'd say months, but a month later. Maybe like December 12th. Okay? We actually never brought it up. The only reason we brought it up is because Watcher Crazy said we would never have the courage to go into a courtroom with them, which, by the way, Watcher Crazy is the one who no-showed in Las Vegas. Now, as you look at this, if you're interested, the docket number here at the top right corner, it says C25-CCB-0478. That's the docket number for the case Terry versus Hicks. Mark Terry versus Leanne Hicks. And her name is public. She's well known. She has her name on her own YouTube. She has her email address out there. It's not doxing. People already know who she is. If you click any of the claim or the amended claim, you see how it's in blue here? You can actually, to this day, and today's February 5th, you can read the claim and see what our claim was against her. Everything. You can read those documents. Let's go to the next page here. So you could see it go through the process of they asked us to amend the claim because they wanted us to take off the corporation. Then they sent us the service packet or the waiver of service, notice of compliance and direction to serve. And you can see some of these, like the service packet is hidden by the Copyright Claims Board. This section here, you can see who's doing, like Mark Terry did this here, Copyright Claims Board, yada, yada, yada. The amended claim, and it goes up. We'll get back to this in a second. So on December 10th, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was after Watcher Crazy said we would never have the courage to go in a courtroom. We made it public and we said, welcome to your court case, biatch. That's what we said. So it's actually not a courtroom. Let me explain what the Copyright Claims Board is. There's a higher level one that's up to 3,000 and a smaller level one that's about 5,000. We chose a smaller level. So you pay the $85 for the Copyright Claims Board. The Library of Congress copyright. You pay $40 for the case, and then you need to serve the person, however much that costs. There is an option where you can discuss with the person that they can waive the process service and they could just go into the case. We knew that Leanne wasn't trying to talk to us. She was falsifying documentation and saying we were harassing her. All we were trying to do was find out where she was at so we could serve her. She's got 3 different homes. She lives in Florida part of the year. She's got 2 homes in Ohio. We don't know who owns what. We had to figure that kind of stuff out. We did. So if you go into the case, if they end up coming into the case, it costs an additional $60. Well, I can tell you this. When we served Watcher Crazy with just a cease and desist, and a cease and desist isn't worth a whole lot, but it's documentation that this is an ongoing problem. It predates the Copyright Claims Board suit. So what we did is we served Watcher Crazy, an attorney to fill that out and put that together, $250. Even if we write all the issues out first, they still have to legitimately put their name behind it and put all the California penal codes that this woman broke. Then a process server there, another $100, $350. $350 to serve her a cease and desist from a legitimate attorney who she harassed later. Well, to do a copyright, and it does nothing for YouTube. Remember, YouTube wants either a Copyright Claims Board suit or they want a federal lawsuit. A cease and desist does nothing for you. Okay? Except for start the process that there's a problem, that this is an ongoing problem. Proof that there is an ongoing problem. Well, later on, now Watcher Crazy's on Leanne Hicks' show, and she says, well, it's in the back, bring it up. Proving that she is committing copyright infringement. Again, if you go to that Copyright Claims Board suit, and you can go to the ccb.gov, it's under the docket 25-ccb-0478. The video evidence on there and the written evidence is on there. You can actually see the video of the show, of our show, the original show, and the show that violated it within this. It's documented on there, okay? It's part of their docket. So, Copyright Claims Board, getting back to the money, $85 to do the copyright, which you own that for the rest of your life anyway, so it's not the biggest deal in the world. But and then $40, not a fraction, and then maybe $100 to serve. I mean, we're talking $220 versus $350, and it sticks with YouTube. That's the biggest thing. So now when Leanne Hicks comes back around, hey, this is fair use. And by the way, the video she stole was 3 or 4 minutes. I can't remember exactly how long it was, with just not even commentary. This is how stupid this person was. Just straight 3 or 4 minutes of just stealing our content. Go steal Pink Floyd for 3 minutes and put that on your YouTube channel. See if you don't get a fucking notification. I'm trying not to cuss. See if you don't get a notification within 5 minutes after your show's over. You'll see real quick that there's a problem. Go ahead and take 3 minutes of Star Wars or Return of the Jedi. Put that on your thing. Don't have any commentary. Don't break it down at all. And see if Disney doesn't send you a little notice. That's how that works. So a notice was sent to Leanne. She responded that it was fair use. We responded with the copyright information and the Copyright Claims Board suit. I don't think she ever knew that. She just got the strikes and didn't understand why. because we didn't talk about it for a month. I don't think YouTube says, hey, you know what, dickhead, you got a lawsuit against you or a claim against you. So let's get back to the Copyright Claims Board and kind of what the issue is with them, the good and the bad. The good is you can see Leanne's channel has been utterly destroyed. It has been destroyed by her own doing. I'm not going to take the credit. We are not going to take the credit. She took her channel down. The strikes stuck. They stuck because it's legitimate through a governmental agency that she took it. But here's the problem with the Copyright Claims Board. And we're going to mesh it similar to like a small claims court suit. Small claims court, you serve somebody, you got to go to it, win or lose. Copyright Claims Board, the respondent, Leanne, the violator, the defendant, has the option, and this is why I don't like the Copyright Claims Board in this respect, has the option to opt out. What does opt out meaning? It means that if they could say, once they get served the paperwork, the service documents that I described earlier, there's a piece of paper in there that explains to them either via the piece of paper, and they have 60 days to reply once they're served. And by the way, they could be subserved. We're going to get to that in a minute. 60 days to respond. If they don't respond, the Copyright Claims Board will reach out to them one time again, then it turns into a default judgment. We were asking for $5,000. We estimate that each person we lost because of Leanne Hicks cost us $500. There were at least 10. That's $5,000, if not more, plus whatever the damages were. Emotional, too. And the time and the energy. And my time isn't free. But I'm giving it to you free here so you could do this in case somebody does this to you. So Leanne Hicks has the option to opt out, which basically means she could just walk away, fill out the paperwork, walk away from the lawsuit, and it's over. When Watch Your Crazy said that we would never step in a courtroom, I guaranteed right off the bat on our show on Jim Terry TV, on the OTT, the streaming platform, I guaranteed she would opt out. She had 3 choices she could do. She could opt out, walk away. She can go in there and defend herself and say that that's her content, but could potentially lose $5,000, which would be really stupid. Or she could have had the courage to do a countersuit. She could have countersued us and said, well, they've been doing this to us. Now, the only thing that could be discussed, it's online. It would be Mark Terry versus Leanne Hicks. You don't have to go to Washington or anything. It's all online versus whoever, and the judges decide if it's copyright. They might have said, hey, listen, it's only 3 or 4 minutes. It's not really that. It's not infringement. They might have said that. They might have looked at it and thought maybe it was fair use. I don't know. But I realized up front that by doing what YouTube asked, by either going with a federal lawsuit or Copyright Claims Board suit, that it would give her the strike she rightfully deserves without being able to do the bullshit that has to do with fair use. It supersedes that. Because now YouTube's like, we got advertisers. There's an actual real court case out there. We're not doing it. Strike, 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 strike. And Leanne's going to say that they're not legitimate and it's this and that. Well, nobody has to go anywhere. Nobody has to do anything. Well, except one thing. You got to serve her. We had to serve her. So we had to serve Watch Her Crazy when she said she was going to show up in Las Vegas. We hired a guy, and there's an affidavit there that exists, and I'm not going to bring it up because I don't want to have to edit more out here, but there's an affidavit exists that he process served her. We told this guy, his name I think is Tyler, the process server, to record it. She's going to lie about it. She's going to lie about it. And he said he didn't get the recording. I think that he did. He just didn't want to show how poorly she looks in person. In his sworn affidavit, the process server's sworn affidavit, he describes her as a 5'2", 250-pound woman with Coke bottle glasses. This is why she never comes up on camera. So it doesn't, if there was a video of her, it would look really bad. So he doesn't get the video. Or he does and he doesn't give it to us. And she harasses the process server. She harasses the attorney. They blow her off. Well, now it's all these months later, 6 months later, and Leanne's stealing by proxy via Watch Her Crazy, right? Copyright infringement. And we got to serve Leanne Hicks. And we've asked her many times, hey, we're knocking on that bubble. We're coming soon. Are you going to threaten me? No. You know there's a lawsuit. Nobody's going to where you live in Ohio. I'm not going to fly across the country. I'm not a whack job. No, we were going to process serve you. Our fight ends up being in a courtroom, not in person. We're not looking for you except to hand you these papers. Well, we find out she's got a hidden house that she's never spoken about somewhere near the border of Indiana. We hear about it through a guy named Eric Foss. She denies it at first. Well, we end up hiring a female process server just by coincidence, non-obtrusive, but she was the one who was down with with doing the photograph, the video evidence, which is what we wanted. And this lady, who is also a paralegal, did so much digging without us asking to be able to prove that Leanne lived where she lived, a home-based business office, taxes were paid to us, because she could say, well, my home's in Florida. My home's the one that's in near Indiana. She could do all that. But we got all the information to prove that that was her home. The process server was about to leave. She's about to leave after going up to the door and knocking on the door for about 15 minutes, and there's some fat slob inside playing video games in the middle of the day. 15-degree weather outside, right? Wind chill is 15. It's 23 degrees out that day. The process server goes back to her car, probably about to leave. And we have interviews and all that with the process server documenting this as well. And Leanne Hicks' daughter shows up holding a baby. By the way, Leanne Hicks had introduced her daughter to YouTube, had introduced the baby to YouTube, the daughter was, this is an adult daughter who's like 25 to 30, had been on YouTube with the children on camera before. So our process server walks right up and walks up to her and says, hey, are you Leanne? She goes, no, I'm her daughter. Do you live here? Yes, which you could hear on Crab Legs Friday 115. This footage is shown. Now, we don't know. Is she holding the baby to be able, as a shield? Is it coincidence? Is it this? Well, we don't know, but we could tell the baby, it's 15-degree wind chill. The baby's got no socks on, and it's a preemie baby. This isn't good. Okay? So the daughter admits to living there. She says Leanne's not home. She doesn't say Leanne doesn't live here. My mom doesn't live here. She says she's not home. She served. That was on January 20th. We don't discuss it. We never bring it up. There's like one or two people who know about it. And this is going to be important. It's recorded. Our main thing with that process server is we will not hire you unless you record it, unless you give us the evidence of that, because they're going to lie about it. They're going to say we're freaks and assholes, and we want to have the proof of it. Now, that the process server later realizes that, and we explained to her that who Leanne was and what we have, but she realizes later that by having this video proof that she could be in the middle of a shitstorm, a firestorm, right? So she claims it's for court use only. I never agreed to that. I hired her like I would hire a cinematographer. The process service was part of that. I own the footage. I never agreed to that with her. She might have said it, but she works for me. When you work for the employer tells you, and you don't say, well, I only do this job if this. No, you agreed to do the job. We paid you up front. You went and did it. Got no problem with the process server, but that's the way that Leanne and her are trying to cover their ass. Leanne's daughter is served on a driveway and sidewalk. Any driveway that has direct access to a road is public. Any sidewalk is public. Ever seen these YouTubers that are people who are going after, recording police officers or ICE officers? You're allowed to record on sidewalks or roadways or anything that's connected to the public roadway. And we know that Leanne's daughter is going to use that baby as a shield. They tried to take down I had a photograph of the moment that she was being served, and we even removed the baby from the photograph, and they still tried to strike it. We're talking to YouTube now about the legalities of that. Michael Jackson's kids, if they're in public places, for example, at the Venetian when he's walking around doing a documentary, and even if they have masks on, if people are taking pictures of them, granted, the Venetian's not a public place, but let's just say on a sidewalk, it's legal to show that. It's legal to show that. There's no crime against that. So Leanne brings it up first. 9 days later. Odd that 9 days went by and Leanne never said anything about being served. She made content out of it. I'm not making content out of it. I'm telling you what happens and what you have to do to be able to go and create a copyright claims board suit. This is my huge suggestion to anybody who ever does this. Make sure, I don't, and by the way, Ohio's a one-party state, so it's allowed, it's legal anyway. Make sure you get it recorded, even if it's a two-party state, just to have it backed up. Because we contacted the Copyright Claims Board and said, she's going to lie about being served. We have a videotape of it. Should we upload it? The reason we didn't want to upload it is because there was a baby in it. That's the only reason we just didn't. So we asked them. They said, in case she enters the case or says she was never served and you have to serve her again, then we'll have you upload it. We got the emails proving this. So with all that, hit the thumbs up, dry, cold. Yeah, it's really cold out there, Texas Granny, when it's 15 degrees. And the daughter ends up emailing, not sending with an attorney, not doing any, emailing some bullshit cease and desist that she got off ChatGPT, not listing any penal code for Ohio. We blew it off, just like Watcher Crazy did with our real attorney. Remember the Watcher Crazy you were talking about? A real process server, a real private investigator. We had a real attorney. Leanne's daughter didn't. It should also be noted that after our process server served Leanne's daughter, our process server went back to her car, cracked the window. Leanne's daughter handed off the baby, walked up to the process server and said she was going to sue her. And our process server said, listen, this is just what my job is. Here's my card, which I think is unethical. She should have just drove off. But, I mean, that's her right to do. It's her call. She put herself in the shitstorm by giving that girl her card, that mom. She's not a girl. She's 25. 25 to 35, somewhere in that range. So later on in the documentation of this is Leanne gets back and she's going to try to lie about the service. Don't forget, we got 2 more attempts. Okay. Our process server got this lady, Leanne, on her first attempt. And the daughter was so stupid. She should have said, you know what? My mom doesn't live here. I don't live here. I'm just visiting my brother. That's what she should have said. But it counted. It counted per the Copyright Claims Board. Leanne contacts our process server. And this is another thing if you have a process server. And we even told the process server this. You have worked for us. Do not communicate with them. You are not to communicate with them whatsoever. If anything happens, you tell them to contact us or contact our attorney. So Leanne calls her, and luckily, thank God, the process server records the call. They're both in the state of Ohio. It's legal. Leanne, by the way, admitted she was in the state of Ohio. If later she said she was in the state of Florida, she's lying about it. At that point, she said she was in the state of Ohio, one-party state. It's recorded. And what you can tell that Leanne's trying to wiggle out of the process service. And she realized it's not going to happen because of the video proof and all the other stuff and the Copyright Claims Board accepting it. So what happens is she goes, I just want to tell you one thing. I want to tell you one thing. And the process server is like, okay, we have this phone call recorded and we've played it on the OTT. It's on Jim Terry. It's on Crab Lakes Friday 115, which we're going to make public. We're probably going to make public. We'll see. Well, I'll talk to Jim about it. If it's in the description, it means it's made public. If it's not in the description, that means it's not. We'll decide that later. So with that being said, Leanne goes to the process server. All you need to know is one thing. Look up Jim Terry on any social media. Look him up, which is business interference with somebody that we're working with, which is one of the same things that we served Watcher Crazy for the cease and desist. Torturous, I think is how you say it, or I'm probably mispronouncing business interference. Going to somebody that you work with that's a vendor of you, a third party, and saying, don't work for them, they're this or that. Part of the reason we're leaving this up here and doing this is, number one, to explain to the Copyright Claims Board and how that exists, but also because Leanne deleted all her content. The main reason is for people to understand what Copyright Claims Board is. But the little sidebar is so this exists on YouTube and not behind the paywall on Jim Terry TV OTT. It does exist. And it does... It's not about necessarily her. It's about how the Copyright Claims Board. but I got to explain her to explain the story. So it's like 95 to like 5%. Certainly not about making money. So business interference. Well, here's the thing, Leanne. Jim Terry's not part of that suit at all. You just brought up somebody to a process server who, number one, didn't hire the process server. He might have found her, didn't pay the process server, and is even fucking part of the case. Now, Jim Terry TV is not owned by Jim Terry. It's owned by Mark Terry, his brother. Okay? He owns it. If you look up so that's just to kind of make that a little bit clear. And you can see in all the court documentation, it says Mark Terry. You don't see Jim Terry anywhere. He's in the footage, but he's not a claimant. He didn't claim the copyright. He's not doing any of that. That's not how that works. So what happens after all this? And you could see, by the way, when you upload your information, there's a box when you upload your information. You can make it public or private. We kept all of our documentation public. That's why it's blue. See how these things are blue? You could click it and look at the amended claim here from Mark Terry on January 21st, 2026 at 2:21 a.m. You could click that. So what does Leanne Hicks do? Here it is. The proof of service. The proof of service needed to be updated because it was not signed by the process server. It explains everything. Everything that I've explained to you, a third-party person who's not involved in this, and this is the process server, is not a YouTuber, doesn't know me, doesn't know Leanne, doesn't know her daughter, explains all that in that documentation, how she was legally served. The Copyright Claims Board accepts this. And what does Leanne Hicks do? She opted out. That's the problem with the Copyright Claims Board. She opts out. Then you could see the Copyright Claims Board coming in, ordered to dismiss the case without prejudice, which means you can now still take the case to federal court, which is on the table for us. But you could see the status of this case is now closed. Leanne was in a position where she couldn't win. If she showed up, I think there was a very good chance, if she would not have opted out, there was a very good chance she would have lost $5,000. And this is a woman that it's very well documented that she has liens against her. Her daughter has liens against her. These people have had liens and all kinds of things with their business, plus some other goofy stuff with the husband, with certain allegations against him and family members. There's a lot of goofiness going on in his family. This is why a married woman is doing streaming content and not spending time with her kids and husband. Things aren't going very well over there, allegedly. Okay. So she opted out. She didn't do a countersuit. She didn't fight for her content. She opted out. If she would have done this to me, I would have countersued her and showed up to the case. As in we would have done it. You know what I mean? So there it is. That's how it worked. And the great thing about this, the case is closed, and technically within the case is over. I mean, nobody quote unquote won the case or lost the case. She quit. She tapped out. Just like the beginning of this says, never give up. She gave up. She didn't have the courage to discuss the merits of the case inside the confines of a courtroom. She hid. She did everything she said that we do. She lied. She hid. She was a coward. And the best thing of all, in the very end of all this, here's what happened. Here's how I'm saying we won. If you were to go on to her YouTube page before, and by the way, I mentioned her last name. You can see her public. She has her email and her last name public there. She has wiped out everything and in her alt channel. And she's claiming she's going to go into some kind of lawsuit or this or that. For what? What's the lawsuit for? What are you going to sue for? You had a non-monetized channel. You opted out. You came up with a friend of yours who already had a cease and desist. You're choosing your friends unwisely. But then again, I probably wouldn't choose to have your husband left alone with, well, we'll stop there. But here's the thing. Presentation, this mama lion and all this kind of stuff is the only thing that she has up. One thing she can't say is, number one, we always follow through. We promised her this was going to happen, and it did. And number two is those strikes, They ain't going away. It don't matter for her anyways because she's not monetized and she can go back and create another channel. But that is our story of how we did the copyright claims board against Leanne Hicks and subsequently did this against other people. Now, these people have claimed that they were going to hire, like Watch Her Crazy, hire a private investigator to look into us years ago and this and that. All we asked from this woman, this is how we truly won. Not that the fact that she decided to take the stuff down from her channel. Now, she was forced to take down the stuff she stole. She had to take that down. And those strikes aren't going away unless enough time lapses. The main thing we wanted, and it wasn't even necessarily the money, was for her to stop stealing from us. For these people to stop stealing from us. And they have. And they have. Since this has gone on and we announced this in early December, these people have never, ever stole from us again. And they have fought with other people in other communities. They have fought with their own family members. Some of them are just hoping family members get out of prison. But things aren't going to go well for these people. My suggestion to anybody out there, and I'm not an attorney, and I had a copyright attorney, guy named Matt Jonda out of Orange County. I can say who we worked with. You know Jonathan Panosian and Matt Jonda's name, but you won't say your attorney's name, Leanne. Watch Her Crazy won't say her attorney. Watch Her Crazy wouldn't say who her private investigator was. We found out who it was, and we interviewed her, and we found out Watch Her Crazy lied. The best thing to do is to keep this documentation and keep your proof and take it that extra step. To do the copyright claims board claim or suit or whatever you want to call it against Leanne was a fraction of what it cost to serve Watch Her Crazy. It was a fraction of it. It didn't really cost that much to do. And by the way, they like to call me Mr. Repeat and this and that. Nobody, and I fucking mean nobody, got to use the F word at least once, has ever done anything like this on YouTube or streaming. Let me know how many people you know of. You can put in the comments. Well, I'm going to keep the comments off because I don't need to hear from you. I got a phone number. You could call me. You could email me. Let me know how many people you know that have ever done a copyright claims board suit against somebody on YouTube. Nobody. I don't know anybody that's ever done it. And come out with, we knew she was going to opt out. That wasn't a win or a loss. If she was stupid enough to come into the case, she'd have got destroyed. She's not a smart woman. I mean, she didn't even know who her family was growing up. So, I mean, she's not a very intelligent person. She would have been outthought and destroyed by Mark Terry in a one-on-one court setting. And she was telling people all along that, hey, I'm going to pull this guy Bob into it. I'm going to get this for harassment. No. Either you stole the content or you did not steal the content. Your claims of harassment and all this other things don't fit into a copyright claims board claim suit case. Understand? And when she found out about it on December 10th, she could have researched it. She even had people like Lacey H posting, hey, you could just opt out. She even admitted that she was going to opt out. That is a coward. That is a coward. So there is your process if you ever need to go through it through the Copyright Claims Board. If you do go through it and you ever want to speak to me, I can help you. Not that I'm a legal advisor. I'm not helping for any kind of monetary gain or anything like that. But certainly if it's somebody that we dislike or that is been in part of our community or indirect of our community that still continues to steal, I'll tell you where to go. I don't need anything from you. Just do it. So there you go. There's the story. I appreciate it. Jesse Roth, who's a friend of the show, is going to be going live after the Mr. X. That is the story. I was hoping to be able to get it in 1 hour, and we did get it in 1 hour. So do it. I'm the only person who's ever done it. Angel Gotti's a person out there who's had a lot of people steal her content. And at some point, you got to defend yourself. It kind of reminds me, and this is figuratively, but imagine somebody continues to steal from you over and over and over again. They keep stealing from you. And you could go out there and protect your stuff with a weapon, with your fists, figuratively, legitimately, or you could do nothing and just complain about it. You complain about it, Angel Gotti as an example, you're going to continue to be stolen from. We did something about it and we stopped it. Now, she could pretend like she's hiding out because all the people within that hater community are fighting each other. But the truth be told is she got beat badly. Both of them got beat badly, outthought. And it's not for content. It's not for malicious intent. The malicious intent was against us. And we told you, if you're going to steal from us, we're going to defend ourselves. And we did that. As far as the baby goes or anything else, when we served Watcher Crazy, we listed the penal codes. Go ahead and email me from an attorney the penal codes that were violated in this case. I'd love to hear that. And don't forget, if you do some type of case, you got to come to my state. You got to come to the Mr. X. And obviously, your daughter doesn't even have the money to hire the $350 attorney. $250 is a cheap rate for an attorney to do a cease and desist, and $100 to serve. You don't have that kind of money. Hell, the baby didn't even have socks on. So if you can't afford socks, you probably can't afford $350 to go after an internet personality. We're wrapping it up. We got Jim coming up. We're going to touch base with Jim, and then we're going to end it up here. What's going on, Jim?
Hey, I didn't want to interrupt you. I wanted to let that go. Are you going to go over the numbers from last night's Angel Gotti show?
I wasn't planning on it, but I could real quick if you want me to.
Yeah, I think it's important because there's a lot of people here that watched that show last night. And I just got a very, very interesting phone call from somebody with Angel. I shouldn't say somebody with Angel, but somebody that knows that channel over there and knows some of the people that kind of verified this. And I'm almost kind of shocked. I know Jesse's going on here in a little bit, but we have not heard from Kathy Fagan, Monkey Girl, in a week and a half. And she spent a total of about 8 hours in Angel Gotti's chats over the last week and a half. I'm supposed to have the Van show this weekend, and she is implicit in it. I mean, she was 80% of the income.
Okay, so let me show this to you real quick if I could. Right now, we've had 70 or 80 people watching. We don't come up on YouTube very often. Here is the show live right now, and you can see 70 people. You can see the people in the chat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to exclude myself. 6, 7, 8, 9 people that are in the chat, but there's 70 people watching, 70, 80 people watching, whatever the number is. Okay. So there's that. You can see that that's live and in real time. I paused it. Okay. Trucker Girl, what's up? So now if you go to Angel Gotti's show last night, and this is what I was saying on my last, I think it was number 6 or 7, whatever number it was, that Angel Gotti's numbers are potentially purchased. Not by necessarily her or by somebody. She had 250 people, 216 people watching, and I'm going to exclude Angel Gotti because you always want to exclude the host in the chat. She had 3 people watching. So how is it that we can have 70 people and have 9 or 10 people active in the chat, and she has 216 or 250 people and only 3 active in the chat? And that was See No Evil, Jesse Roth, and Tommy LaChese. This proves to me that she probably has anywhere from anywhere from 100 to 200 live viewers purchased for her.
Yeah.
What more proof did you need than that? I got 72 live here in the middle of the day, and there's 10 people in the chat, and she has 216 at one point in the show, 250, and had 3. Just saying.
Also, if anybody out there has a contact email or phone number, I would consider it a great favor if you would send it to me on a guy named Chicago Muscle. I also want to say that Eric Foss has been telling people off the air that the reason Stone Sailor has disappeared is there is a warrant out for his arrest for jury interference or court interference in Maryland. I have not seen any paperwork that proves that. But there's some big things coming up on Crab Leg Friday tomorrow. The OTT streaming platform will have that show for free. But I can tell you that hopefully early tomorrow afternoon, the Robotext will be back on, and we'll be able to send that out for both shows tomorrow, XNN and Jim Terry TV.
Jesse there was Roth no robocall for this show either. That's another thing. You're right.
Right. Yeah. Is Jesse Roth going on hereafter?
Oh, hopefully. I know she was going to push it back. She had some things to do. This show, I really haven't promoted Cash Apps or anything at all during the show. I haven't said dry or anything, but I do want to thank Rainbow Melon coming in, $5. Thank you, Rainbow Melon, for that. I see that. And I think that that's it. This isn't a monetized channel or anything, but I hope the people that watch this in the future can take our story and take the breakdown of what happened with us and use it to their advantage. So I hope that ends up happening. By the way, I want to thank Texas Granny coming in, $10 on the PayPal. Great show, says Texas Granny.
What?
Thank you for being here.
What?
Texas Granny and Rainbow Melon, ironically, were both modded during this show. That wasn't because of the money they sent in. It was actually before the show. But you heard that
And
3
Gen
people were
X
killed by a car? Yeah.
And Gen X is now back on the OTT?
Yeah, I set that up last night and talked to her through email. She's back on because we had those people that kind of a handful of people donated a handful of memberships. So yeah, she's going to be on at least through the month, and then we'll figure out the future after that. But that's it. That's what's going on. She's a real nice lady. She likes paying her own way. So, but we had that extra one. We wanted to do that for her. She didn't ask.
Good.
So that's it, Jim. Anything else you want to add about the Leanne thing or the Copyright Claims Board case?
No. I mean, Watcher crazy going around acting like she don't know we kicked her ass. Hey, Watcher, what about the fact that your son, I now own your son's name on a website, ass kicking? What about the fact that we exposed Leanne, ass kicking? What about the fact that half the people that used to be over there with you, where's Danielle? Where's Betty Hayward? Huh? Where's Ruben Sanchez in your chat? Where are they? Where's your friends at? Did they all disappoint you, or did they run from you when they realized you couldn't accomplish shit against us? You said that you didn't know how we kicked your ass. How about you saying that we would never show up for court when it was your co-host, Leanne, who ran? Watch her crazy. There's nothing in the world you can do to anybody. The only thing you could do is watch your son get his ass kicked and shoot those people if you're in your front yard.
All I know is whenever we have a big win, whenever we have a big monetary show,
yes,
they either do one of two things: go completely quiet and or fight with each other. In this case, they did both. They started fighting with other people, Sashio and these people. They just can't do anything. And I don't think anybody who has been, I would make the argument in court, if this was a federal court, that this happened because of Watch You're Crazy. It was her who gave, you could hear the audio. Go look up the Copyright Claims Board case. You could hear it. You could see the video of it. Her bringing it up, her using Leanne. Now, Leanne was complicit. She could have just said, you know what, I'm going to take this down. This ain't worth it. But now her daughter was subserved legally. I mean, all of that happened where Leanne saying she's the mama cub or the mama lioness or whatever, and she's protecting her cub. Leanne, it's all because you hung around bad people. If you would have stood your ground and said, listen, Watch Her Crazy, I'll come and co-host, but I'm not going to do this on my show. Let's do it on yours. She would have told you to go screw yourself because she's monetized and she don't want to get she don't want to lose the extra $50 or $60 she gets a month that she spends probably on marijuana. So you should have done the right thing. And if you were the mama bear or the mama lioness that you claimed you would, Watch Her Crazy is what exposed your daughter in that scenario. And subsequently your grandkid. We took the grandkid out of the footage. You're welcome. But that's what put them in the situation. You're lucky that we're not bad guys or we're not crazy guys like Eric Foss is. Because that could have been, there's actually bad people out there. You're one of them. Watch Her Crazy's one of them. I just believe you're stupid. That's my opinion. I just don't believe you're a bright person. You're easily manipulated by these other haters. That's why, and you're annoying. That's why your husband doesn't want anything to do with you. That's why Bob doesn't want anything to do with you. You can see that's why men don't want anything to do with you. And you screwed with the wrong men here. And you created business interference. So Leanne, if you decide or your daughter decides to do a court case, come to California. We'll see you here. And be ready to be in another case, because we're going to countersue you. We got you already. You're the one who didn't show up. You are the next no-show, not me. I've always shown up. You're a coward. And that's the end of the story, Jim.
All right,
guys.
everybody, head over to Jesse Roth's here at 8:30 Eastern. There's going to be a lot of continuous talk over there. Our crowd is the only one really supporting her. Angel and her crowd have pretty much turned their back on Jesse. So get over there, you'll see us support.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions to be answered here too. I mean, you're not going to get them, but why does Angel Gotti have 212 people live watching her and only 3 people in her chat? A lot of questions. Let me know what you guys think. You can do your copyright claims for it too. You can always email me. People know my email is. People obviously see what my phone number is above. Good luck with it. And don't let these people screw you over. Remember, these haters are weak. That's why they're haters. That's why they're playing your content. They don't have the courage to make their own content. They don't have enough life to be interesting on something that they've done on their own. That's why they're losers. Never give up.